And welcome back. We've got columns and beams put in to our three-dimensional object at this point, where that's where we're looking at this view of the building. And we've got columns and beams from a level 2 down to level 1. Well, that's great and all, but we'll need obviously more to build our building. So let's continue on with building that. We'll add some more other types of beams. We'll add a beam system into it this time. We'll click on level 2 to get back into that. And so far we can't see very much of what's going on there yet, but if we look into the bottom of the screen, there's a few options here where it's got the ability to change up. You see where I'm pressing here, it's got the ability to change up how your view is. And if we picked realistic view, well, right now it's not going to show us a whole lot of difference, but you can see some differences when it happens if you've got a realistic view. It might be a little bit taxing on your computer if you haven't got the fastest computer out there. You might not really want to do that, because it will be doing everything in the very best possible graphics setting. This isn't necessarily optimal for building. It's not necessary for drawing, but it does at times show you things that you might not see the other ways. So the next thing we're going to do anyways is go into our beam systems. We'll put in some beam systems into this. So click onto this, and with that, we don't actually have any beam systems. You'll see in here no beams to put into the drawing. We can add in beam shapes that we can put into there, and that's really not appropriate. We wouldn't want to overdraw this by having such a large beam in there. But what we can do is we'll escape out of that, go into structure, load in beams. We'll actually grab some other beams from our load families and load those into our project as well. We're going to go into a little different area this time. So that was our columns area. What we need to do is go into the area that will be structural framing, I believe is what we're looking for. Structural framing. And here we are in structural framing. We'll want, because it's a steel building, they give us options of concrete. They give us options of light gauge steel, precast concrete, steel, and wood. But we want steel because it is a steel construction building. We'll put in maybe some open web steel joists, but right now you can see that there's many options that we could choose from. You know, there's lots of stuff. If you're building this sort of thing, then you will have a engineer of some sort telling you what it is that you are wanting to put in there. There'll be something that has to be particular in there. At this point, we'll just find something, you know, open web steel joist ish to throw in there. This LH series bar joist, that looks fine. Kind of has that look to it, just to give you an idea. And we'll pick just a bunch of that, so we have some options that will go into our properties menu, or our type selector. Now that we have that, we'll go into structure again. We'll pick up this beam systems, and when we look into the beam systems, should give us the choice to grab the beams that we had in there. And you'll see that by hovering our mouse over the grid, if I'm going a vertical line, it will put in the all the grids vertically. Horizontal line, it'll put them in horizontally. We'll put them in horizontally at this point. And here we go. It's loading in some grids, or some beams into our beam system into our system here. we can actually change a lot of what that is up here. We've got the ability to actually change them out so that if we'd like them to be a little bit farther apart in the spacing or whatnot, and then we're going to actually change a lot of that out here now. But this is fine. We like where that's at. We'll escape out of this. We've got one in there, but we'd like more of them in there. So what we can do is we can click on our piece that we have in there. Actually, we can take a look at this and see what that looks like in our grid. So we have the open web steel joist. It's now being placed into the grid where we would like them to be. We'll go back into level 2 and we'll try and make that so it's a little bit more of that. What we want to do is select that. It's selected now. We've got up here in the ribbon above modify, there's a section with 4 little squares in it. That one is called array. This is what we'll use to sort of spread this all around where we need it to be. A little bit easier than just clicking each one. I mean, you could do that, and that's fine. In a large project, it might take you a little bit of time to get that going, but what we can do is grab one of the corners here, and actually we'll bring it over, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares we'd like. So we'll actually change this number in the array. This is the amount of times it will array over. So we'd like to have it array 6 times, and we've picked from this top left corner of the square. So we'd like to put it to the top left corner of where we would like it to end up. So we click that. With the array 6 times, we've put in 6 sections of these beam systems, and we can press escape once that's in. I'm going to take a look on our 3D, and there we have it. We've got a section in each one of those is filled up with the beams. We can do that again. Clicking back into level 2, we can actually use our control button and select all of these that you'd like to switch down. If we'd like to copy this down again. Now we've highlighted all these beam systems, and we'd like to array those downward. So we'll do the same thing again. They are selected. We'll go up above modify into the array. We'll grab array, and we'll grab the top corner of our beam system that we'd like to array, and bring that down. Actually, we're going to want to switch that into, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grids. I'd like to switch that up to 5 and array it 5 times. So top corner, 5 times arrayed into this far top corner, and that should put us pretty good for having 5 sections of that beam system into our grid now. Press escape a couple times to get out of that once it's done thinking. Then we can check that out in 3D, and there we have it. We have our grid is fully set up with beams. We have open web steel joist. We have columns, all four between this level 1 and level 2. Now what we might want to do in this building is, now we're going to think a little bit forward. And in a lot of buildings, you'll have staircases. You'll have, you'll need a way of getting up to the other levels. You'll have staircases. You'll have elevators, perhaps, going through here. So we will need to remove some of this to make that possible. So what we need to do is go back into our level 2, and if we were going to do that, say if we put our entrance in the south, this will be our south elevation. We wanted to put it into one of these squares here. Maybe we're putting elevators into the grid just up from the middle of that, so we have a little bit of space for eventually maybe lobbies and such, and then we'll have this area for our stairs and our elevator system. So what we need to do is press on this one middle section. It will highlight this whole grid selection here, and we want to ungroup them. At the top of the ribbon there was ungroup. We'll just undo it so people can see again what that was that I did. I selected the whole section of this of the open web steel joist, and we'll press ungroup at the top of that ribbon, and then we can select the parts that we'd like to remove, which is the second line in, third, 3 over, say from grid 4C and then grid 4D. We'll highlight it and then press delete. Highlight it and then press delete. And actually what we can do to make sure that we have space for all that, we'll take a look and see what we've done. And we've got 2 open holes there that we can carry all the way back up to the top. And to do that, actually, this is not a bad time to do another bit of fun, easy copy pasting. What we can do is actually take a look at our north elevation, or any elevation would do. Your east elevation would do fine too. And we can actually select all of what we put in here and move that on up. By highlighting it, what I've done is highlight it by pressing your mouse button, your left mouse button, and then dragging a rectangle over what you'd like to have moved up. So this will select everything that's in here. Unfortunately, we don't want to copy the level lines and the grid lines up. So what we need to do is up in the ribbon, you'll notice almost at the very far right of the ribbon, it'll say filter. We can use that one at the top, or there's at the very bottom right corner, we have also the same symbol as a filter. We could press on that and select out what we don't want to move up and like copy up into the other levels. We don't want the grids, we don't want levels. We would like to have the model groups, structure columns, structural framing in there, so we'll keep those in there, and we'll press OK. Now that we've selected these items, what we need to do is go up to the ribbon again, and above clipboard it says, there's a couple that look like 2 pages put together. We'll say it says copy to clipboard. So we'll press on that, and that copies all those items to the clipboard. And then if you look just beside that, just to the left, is another clipboard, and it says paste. So we want to click on the triangle that says paste. It will give us some options. Right now we would like to copy that to aligned to select levels, and we have that. It's asking us to save project. It's a good idea to save the project. We'll do that in a second, but it's a good idea to maybe do that periodically, just as you don't want to lose your work. But right now we're not too concerned with that. We're just going to move on to the next thing, and then maybe we'll save our project right after we're done with this. It seems like we've got a few stages in there, but we'll select. Now it gives us, in the dialog box, it gives us select levels. We will actually want to select the levels that don't have this in, that we'll want to have more of them in, and that's from level 3 up to level 6, because we already have it in from 2 to 1, and we'll put different things from 1 to our foundation level, so that will be something quite a different stage, and that's okay. Right now all we need to do is put it from 3 to 6, so you select all of those levels from 3 to 6 and then press OK. Mine might take a little bit of time to put those in through there, as I'm also obviously running video recording software in the background to catch all of this. But it'll think about it, it'll put them in, and that should copy everything right up to the top. You'll have all kinds of framework right up to the top of your building. And this is, once again, why we don't want to have it always into our realistic views. Not that I have it in that it's right now, I've got it set in wireframe view, but we don't want to have it in too high of a resolution, for the factor that it will bog down your computer. Unless you have a really good computer, which is great, good for you, that's awesome. And hopefully you do have a good computer for this, but not all of us are so fortunate. So here we are. It's given us all of what we had wanted. We've got the grids, everything, the girders and columns, everything is all copied up to level 6. So we'll take a look at our 3D view, and that actually has got quite the building. And we can actually pan in and take a look. We've still got our big openings for our elevator shaft and our stairway possibly in there, ready to go. Everything that we put in has now been copied into our pattern. Take a little look in here, and if we can switch it in to different views. We got a medium detail on right now. I'll put it into a fine detail just because I can, and throw it into realistic, and that'll show us the girders, everything in real life, what it might look like. And that's pretty cool actually right now, if you think about where we're at in this and how long that took. If you're trying to draw that in a regular drafting program, we'll use AutoCAD, which is very popular, or there's a number of other just straightforward drafting programs that would take you not only forever to do that, but it would be extremely taxing on your computer to make that same image happen at this point. That is pretty impressive, to be completely honest. So we'll go up to our view cube here. We can barely see it with all the grid in there, but we can go in there and press right on there and go home. That'll put us back out to our original 3D view for when we need it later. What we need to do now is actually add in some more features. We'd like to go down into level 1 this time. And in level 1, what we'll end up doing is adding in some more stuff. We'll stop this for now and get into that with the next video.